Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Talha bin Afzal from Pakistan Software Houses Association, and we are back with the episode 18 of Candid with P SHA. We have recently started the capacity building series of P SHA, in which we have done 2 webinars of hiring the right CTO for the product and services-based companies. As Pakistan Software Houses Association is preparing for the biggest delegation from Pakistan of the IT and ITES companies to LEAP Riyadh, which is happening on from February 1st to 3rd at Riyadh Front Expo Center. We are here together to talk about the insights and the business dynamics of the MENA region and the businesses which have been working there for the longest time we know. We have with us our guests, starting with Mr. Zohaib Khan, who is also the chair of the brand Pakistan committee, in fact, who is leading this initiative from P SHA. Zohaib, would you like to introduce yourself and your organization before we go towards the others?
Assalamu alaikum. As you all know, Zohaib Khan. So we did a similar thing started in JITEX Dubai. So most probably the similar activities we are planning for Saudi Arabia. So my portfolio in P SHA is chairing the Brand Pakistan committee, responsible for the domestic and international event, and to create the Pakistan as a tech destination Pakistan brand for focus to increase how to increase the export of Pakistan. And I have a portfolio. I'm a CEO of A to Z Creatorz, which is like a digital app development company, and also responsible and then IT committee chair in Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Zohaib. Moving on towards Shahzad, who is the CEO of TPS Worldwide, and they have been present and they have been providing products and services to many organizations in the MENA region for the longest time. Shahzad, would you like to introduce yourself and your organization, please? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shahid, just like Talha, talked about. I am the group CEO of TPS, which has an office in Dubai as well, other than Pakistan. And we have an office in Middle East since 2005. So we have pretty much, experience of 15 years of operating in the GCC region. Other than that, I have been associated with P SHA for a pretty long time as well in different capacity. I hope some of you already know me. So I'll be happy to share my experiences, to all those who actually are aspiring to make the most of the interactions with the Middle East and potential customers and export increase dreams that you all carry.
Thank you, Shahzad. Waqas, over to you for your introduction and your organizations. You're on mute, I think.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Waqas Khan Pitafi. I am CEO of DevBatch and a few other small companies. I am also doing business with Middle East as the rest of my colleagues here on this panel, and would love to help people who are going to LEAP as well as some other international forums. I think that's the right way. We need to invest as a country. So here to help with that cause. Thank you so much.
Great. And last but not the least, Jamil, thank you for being with us. Would you like to introduce yourself and your organization?
Thank you, Talha. Assalamu alaikum all. This is Jamil Goheer. I'm one of the co-founder of Kualitatem. We are an independent software testing and QA company since 2009. Have been operating in the Middle East and the US. Have been part of quite a lot of exhibitions over the past 12, 13 years. Happy to share my experiences on this forum and see how we could be able to make Pakistan a success going forward.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone. Since we are talking about the Middle East and the North Africa region, and recently we participate. I think most of us participated in JITEX as well. Now we are participating in LEAP, which is happening in Riyadh on February 1st. Zohaib, I would like to come to you for the first question, and I think it's going to be for everyone. What do you think, how over the years Middle East and North Africa region have developed in terms of its technological advancement? And we're seeing a little shift from UAE towards Saudi Arabia with their Vision 2030 and their technological advancement. What are your thoughts? How has it evolved over the years?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I just want to share that having experience in this market, especially participation in international events in the Middle East and this sector. So I just want to tell that the Saudi Arabia, they started about 10 years back with the JITEX Riyadh. It happened like 2-3 years. And then after that, it was ArabNet about consecutive 2-3 years. We participated there also. So what I feel, especially the Vision 2030 and also NEOM as a technology hub in the region and the way of innovation is going on. So especially the Saudi, this is now not 100% oil dependent economy anymore. So they have different sector. They are promoting the tourism and the other sector. For the technology side, they are very much focused. Every single day, they are doing a lot of things. For example, they have introduces I just giving you an example of point of sale integration in their all the businesses, including small shops. So here we can talk about the opportunities for Pakistanis can cater starting from small business to enterprise. So previously, it was not very friendly in terms of that independent Pakistani company can do a lot of things, but now a lot of things are already changing. And I think participating in the LEAP is going to be a great start for any Pakistani company because their government, I tell you, as of today, all their government departments are sending notification to all the private sectors about the LEAP. So the hype of LEAP is tremendously, completely different. There is no comparison with JITEX Dubai and LEAP, but Saudi Arabia in the region is a lot of businesses there, a lot of digital transformation is going on. So participation and gladly there are about 24 exhibiting companies from Pakistan are there. And as far as my information, Pakistan has the biggest delegation as a country pavilion. We have 2 pavilions comprising of 12 companies each. And thanks to the TDAP and Pakistan Software Export Board, I remember initially it was like nobody was interested to go. Nobody knows about the LEAP. But when P SHA, reaching all the member company and then opportunity, and at last we have some overbooking. So now more companies wanted to participate, but the subsidy from the government, it was over. The cap was there. So I think this is the game changer for many companies. Many companies will have from Pakistan a lot of leads, maybe for partnership, for direct customers, and the way they are doing in terms of the digital transformation is very, very much oriented because the new breed from the Saudi nationals are coming. They're highly educated, well English speaking, highly graduated in terms of the technology side also. Innovation is going on amazingly, even their apps and government communication. So I think in this region, the Saudi Arabia, especially LEAP, there's a lot of opportunities. And later I'll talk about that how Pakistani companies can capitalize this event. Talha, you are mute.
Thank you, Zohaib. I think I totally agree with you. I was in fact going over LinkedIn and trying to build connections with the MCIT people from MCIT. Most of them are graduated from Harvard and top Ivy universities of US. And you're very right that now they're building their technological side and very rapidly as well, I would say. Jamil, I would come to you since you have been participating in the international exhibitions for the longest time. We know, and on the North African side, you were participating along with the Commerce Minister. You represented the IT sector there as well. What are your thoughts towards the MENA sector, MENA region, in fact, and how do you think it is going to be different than our previous top export destination, which is US and some of the European countries as well?
Right. So interestingly, the first ever exhibition that I attended was basically GITEX 2006. And that's where myself and Zohaib met for the first time as well. So we go long back in terms of representing Pakistan here and there. I think at that time in 2006, 2007, 2008, when we were participating in GITEX, in that region, that used to be the largest event around technology. And that event around technology was also primarily dominated by hardware sector or by all these large scale technical software producers like IBM, HP, Oracle, and SAP, and whatnot. So independent software producers, smaller entities, they were least seen over there. However, there used to be potential, and that potential kept on growing in the Middle Eastern market in GITEX Dubai. Saudi Arabia over the last 5 years has tremendously changed. It is by far the biggest market out there. It definitely has huge potential based on the kind of targets they have set for themselves. The government itself is trying to transform away from the oil economy and the tourism economy. Of course, IT and technology is the key to grow. And that's where they are investing heavily with very audacious targets out there for themselves as a country. And that will actually bring in a lot of work for them to get done. And somebody has to produce the work. And of course, that human resource needs to be figured out from outside Saudi Arabia as well, primarily. Now, this poses a huge potential for organizations from Pakistan to participate in events like LEAP 2022, and then, of course, leverage their presence over there to connect and maintain their own sort of a presence going forward in the next, of course, months or years to come. This market overall is definitely growing, and we have seen growth in Qatar over the last 4 or 5 years. We have seen growth in Saudi Arabia. And then, of course, Dubai, we have all been very familiar registering our companies over there as well. Now, Saudi being the largest player in the GCC is basically bringing all what UAE and Qatar was offering to other outsiders to come and do business over there. Hence, you'll find the largest share of the pie over there in Saudi Arabia. And of course, for the next 4 to 5 years, the business will be very lucrative. However, Saudis are also now very well informed. And of course, as you said, that you are seeing people from Harvard and MIT and quite a lot of other prestigious institutions. Now they're much more aware, and they're also very quality conscious as well. So of course, convincing them, building partnerships with them would require some kind of a level playing field for people who are competing against quality only. So that's one thing. Secondly, as opposed to the US market or the European market, yes, those markets are very lucrative as well. However, this is one of the closest market for us, and the kind of opportunities that exist in the Middle East at this moment in time. I think if you don't have that much sort of, let me rephrase, if you have to spend against US or Middle East to start with, I think it's easier play in the Middle East at the moment. US is an offshore market. You can start getting the business from there, but then scaling the business in US requires a very different kind of a play over there. However, in the Middle East, it's much more closer proximity. And then if you even have to travel yourself, it's a 3-hour flight out there. I think that answers both your questions.
It does. It does. In fact, we'll bring the another question for everyone, that how is the ease of doing business landscape in Saudi Arabia in terms of other regions of the world. Waqas, I would like to bring the next question to you, which is around, since you have already lived in Gulf state for quite some time, and would you like to share some business culture and the dynamics which have been there, and how has it been different from Pakistan, and what are some of the tips and tricks which can make the deals happen? Because I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Okay, so first of all, the most important, I think, advantage is time zone. I think we are very close to Gulf. So 1 hour, 2 hour max difference. I think that's the number one as far as the business is concerned. Second is like, this market is very much driven on the same culture as you would have in Pakistan. So in Gulf, like, even if you're talking to Arabs or Gulf nationals, like you don't have a major difference, like, as far as their work ethics or culture or personalities are concerned, like, as you will find maybe in Europe or maybe in US. Okay. So this is my personal feeling. And by having lived over there, like, if you know the culture, if you know the place, like, it's much easy for you to lead the discussions, negotiations, conversations, lead generations, these kind of things. You have your own network as well. That is also helping, like, helpful for you in terms of generating more business. But if you have not lived over there, unlike me, in that case, like, these kind of events are very important, where you go present yourself, like, try to build an entry into that market, make new connections, talk to people, and then, like, it will be easier for you to work. Good thing about this is that Saudi and, for example, Dubai and even other places, like, you are able to get more decent money in terms of, like, its dollar value or in terms of its foreign currency value than what you will be able to get in say Pakistan. If you're working for somebody, like, in Pakistan, it's easy for you to, like, operate from that perspective. Challenges are there as well. The biggest challenge is the proximity again, because the biggest chunk of the world population lives very close to Gulf, right? India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all these countries, which are the most populous countries. So you will always find out that it is overwhelmed, like, Saudi market as well as Dubai market, UAE, Oman. These markets are actually influenced massively by Indians. Now somebody can say, like, Indians are everywhere. They are even in South America as well. So if you go there, like, you will find they are influential over there as well. But yes, like, they have more leverage over here, because as we can fly in 2 hours to Dubai, or 3 or 3.5 hours to Riyadh, for example, 4 hours, they can fly, like, in half an hour extra, so it's the same thing for them as well. So challenges are there, but I think, like, this is a very doable market. We have, like, as a business personally, as well as business, like, a lot of ambitions for this year, next year. We like, have started increasing footprint in UAE last year, like, with Zohaib in Jitex and Pakistani companies.
Is it me or is it Waqas?
Yeah.
No, I can hear you loud and clear. I think.
Okay.
Are you guys still able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Waqas. Please go on.
Sorry. Okay, I think you guys lost me. Am I back?
Yes, you're back. We can hear you. Your video is frozen, but we can hear you. Anyways, I think we'll continue with the comments from Waqas on this. Shahzad, I would like to bring this question to you, because you have a product-based company and your digital payments and fintech products. As we see your clientele on your website, so there are so many banks specifically from the Gulf region. How do you think? How much difficult is it for the product-based companies from Pakistan to scale from Pakistan to the Gulf region, and what should be their business model, keeping in mind the cultural differences?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So like I think all my fellow colleagues have just said, Dubai is just like 2 hours flight from Karachi. And I think there are multiple options available to fly between Dubai and Karachi. So the accessibility is there. The cost of travel is low, and the frequency of travel can be very, very high. So this basically makes Dubai a very sort of, easy or popular target. The second is about the flexibility they show in so many areas. Opening the bank account, setting up a company, free zones, connecting flights to practically everywhere in the world. So this region has its own elements that make it, a good choice to set up a company there. So first and foremost is, and I think that's true for so many companies, so many countries, that you either have to be there in the region as a company, or you have to have somebody as a partner who represent you there. For a product-based company, this is going to be tough for you to just go there, sell your product, come back with no, on-soil partner or yourself, because there is a software that has to be implemented, and then there has a software that has to be later supported as well. I'm talking about, the products. So if you can't guarantee the SLA, there's a very little chance that you will actually get the project. So and regardless, having an office or a setup, even if it's small, in the region does give you a lot of sort of edge over somebody who is not there. So this is the first experience that we basically have had. Secondly, for the Pakistani companies, a lot of international companies prefer to have a contract signed with Middle East, compared to Pakistan, because of legal, financial reasons. The ease of transactions, paying the money to the company, getting the money from the company, right? These things are very accessible, and like I said, travel options are a lot from across the world. So this is another aspect that has to be taken into account. Now, if we talk about how the environment is and how the environment is changing in the region, let me just share with you that Saudi in 2021 has been reported or scored as a second at the second ranking in digital government, by in terms of digital competitiveness. So this talks about the speed with which Saudi government has been focusing on digitization. There's a Vision 2030, and I would suggest everybody who's going to LEAP do read about Vision 2030, because Saudi vision is actually very, very seriously being implemented as we speak. The Neom City, which is the first smart city, tech city, is all sort of falling under that same vision. They want to become cashless. They want to move their economy away from oil. They want to have so many things done within the next few years. So this is billions of dollars of tech opportunity only in Saudi in the next 10 years. But it's going to be very, very important if Saudi, for example, is taken as a focus by the companies here in Pakistan. Somebody are now even starting to say that if this is the time to set up an office in Neom, for you to take advantage 5 years later. But I'll let everybody do their own due diligence about that. The second aspect is the entire GCC is also going through major digital transformation, and I think we all are sort of we all can see that happening. That all the things actually are now digitally, electronically available, which basically means with all this acceleration that we see in digitization in the GCC and Saudi, opportunities are everywhere. Now, in terms of a product company, my experience now is the business drivers are changing very, very rapidly. And the disruption by the cloud can be seen there. So a year ago or pre-COVID, a lot of products were easily sellable as an on-soil, on-prem, project or a product. Now the cloud is taking over. We know that, Amazon, Azure, OCI, all are setting up their data centers in GCC. okay, and making it more accessible, making it more regulatory compliant. So the SaaS model or the cloud-based, software service is going to be a very, very important element to have access to it. Now, how does it help? As a Pakistani company who, for example, Assumption has no international customer, by virtue of having it set up on the cloud, you basically ensure that it is accessible, it is secure, there's high availability, there's a scale, and basically your software is compliant to, or ready for the cloud. And this gives an easy access proof of concept that you can do with the customers. So this is going to be, I think, a key for a lot of Pakistani companies to have an entry into Saudi or the GCC market by virtue of using the cloud. That said, there are restrictions of on-soil, in-country data. For example, Saudi is very strict about the on-soil requirement, but then they have the Oracle Cloud infrastructure setting up where there's a promise that this cloud can be actually be used by the softwares that have the account holder or the citizen information, which the country considered to be important to be maintained on soil. So depending on which product a company has, it is very important that you sort of come up with your own strategy of on cloud or on-prem, and when you say on-prem, on soil, on cloud, for example, you have to do your own sort of assessment. If it is OCI or Azure or AWS, but a determining factor will also be, or success factor will also be, which of these clouds have the data center in the region, And when I say in the region, again, I repeat, Saudi means within Saudi. Region does not, this is not like UK, Europe, where the Europe means anywhere in Europe is considered to be, falling under the same thing. It is not the case in this part of the world. Saudi means Saudi, UAE means UAE. UAE is still a bit flexible because it's a different economy and different sort of policies altogether. Saudi has a different mindset altogether because they do understand this is a very, very big country in terms of population, opportunity, and the return in Saudi is 2x of other countries in GCC. So and the country is now opening up. We understand that there are a lot of changes that we see in Saudi in terms of the laws, the rights of women there and the rights of expats. That said, there's a very serious move towards for example, giving employment to the local Saudis in the countries that you set up. So one has to be very cognizant of how to go about it. You just sort of can't jump into it just like a Dubai free zone company. You have to be very clear about how you will set up a company, how you will have the employees there, how many expats, how many local, and how you will be able to sort of make it work for you. But this is the right time for these decisions to be taken. I think, well, it should have been taken 2 years ago, but I think with this LEAP event going, happening in early February, I would request and advise everybody to also consider very, very seriously about setting up a company in UAE or in Saudi, and that will certainly be a gateway, giving you access to a lot of countries within GCC, and possibly because UAE is also considered to be a hub of the Middle East Africa region. So this also, overlooks at the African region, and you also have access to Europe as well because Dubai is somehow accepted there. So yeah, so cloud, setting up a company there, and needless to say, you have to have a product which actually is globally competitive. I'm not talking about the low price. I'm talking about competitive, right? Which is a mix of price, quality, the impact, and the solution that it serves. I'm very happy to have any more question answered.
Thank you, Shahzad. For the other panelists, please feel free to jump in and share your comments on any question that you like. Zohaib, I'm bringing the next question to you because we're doing this one specifically for LEAP, and we're talking about the Saudi Arabia region. How do you think we can maximize our return on investment and capitalize on while the companies, in fact, the 24 of the companies are participating there? How do you think we can get the best out of it?
Okay, the good question. So I just want to start first with the single line, or for all the participants as an exhibitor and all the participant as a attendees going there. So don't just exchange your business cards, make friends. So this is something networking we should do. Exchanging business cards and just coming back to Pakistan and follow up, that doesn't make sense. So you need to make friends. You have to do networking over there. So I just need to share my experience. The first ever, I started attending the events in 2003, 2004 from JITEX, and for having an experience as a participant, as an exhibitor, also as a visitor, also. And I was just counting some of the events. So I attended more than like 84 international events in my career history. What I learned, especially participating in Middle East, if we focused on LEAP. So we have 3 days, and I participated in JETEX also, which is a very big, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of visitor. So LEAP Saudi Arabia is a compact, I think 4 or 5 halls. So we have a great opportunity for a prospect or potential customer will be revisiting you on the same day or next day. So we need to capitalize all 3 days by closing the deal. For example, in our real business, if we have got a lead, so we have a meeting, we have, the sales team generated a promising lead, and the decision makers meet to close the deal. So these 3 days sort of, we should not just go and collect the business card and saying, okay, we will get back to you and our team will get back to you and we will submit the proposal. No, my personal experience is that we should book a coffee meeting on the same day, or dinner meeting on the next day, meeting over the breakfast or coffee. Capitalize your all 3 days during the event. So if we are going there, if we able to close some sort of discussion, I suggest your sales team back in Pakistan should be able to prepare all the templates of some proposals, some marketing collateral, some product brochures, e-brochures, because I learned that in LEAP, you will not be easily giving all the printed marketing collateral to the visitors. So it's better we should have some QR code. I suggest that everybody should generate their WhatsApp QR code, because maybe some people are not exchanging or comfortable with the business card. However, the LEAP has given you an access to scan the barcode on their application. But still, if you can have a one-to-one contact sharing in order to continue your discussion, we should have a WhatsApp QR code generated in order to have and get in touch with the prospect. I personally learned that you will be getting two type of visitor. One is for partnership and one is for the direct customer. So be very precise and concern about the, mostly Saudi companies would be interested to represent you in Saudi. So give them a time. Don't sign exclusivity with everybody. Sign as much as you can, have a representation or MOU as a non-exclusive partnership. But because Saudi nature culture is, they are more comfortable to work if you are physically there. So most of the companies who don't have office in Saudi or region, they might feel challenged that how you can manage by going back to Pakistan. So you need some local representation, or in the future local legal registration, in order to grab the big project. So I know some Saudi companies would be happy to assist you by giving you their CR, their access to their office, their all other legal things. But trust me, I also suggest that there is a web portal called Etemad. Not Etemad is not like the visa processing company. Etemad is a Saudi's sort of government and private sector floating all the projects and RFP and tenders on the Etemad website. So maybe you can have a right approach before landing to Saudi, that which type of projects they are floating in the market. So for example, January, I learned that they have started initiating a lot of projects. The second thing is that there are big companies like Al Ilm, Jaresi, SBM in Saudi. These companies mostly get all the big size project in Saudi Arabia. So if we as in Pakistani companies able to meet their top management to discuss about the outsourcing opportunity in Pakistan, so LEAP is in right place. Riyadh is the right audience to, to meet them and discuss the subcontracting to our, all these things. One more thing, what I learned by collaboration that in Dubai, Ministry of IT, PSEB, PASHA, Ignite, we all were working together. So that was something amazing partnership relationship we had in order to, have some networking event. So the second day, we are gladful to Riyadh Chamber of Commerce. They are hosting a networking break from 10 a.m. till 12 noon on the second day of LEAP, that is Wednesday, 2nd February 2022. So they are inviting Saudi companies, Pakistani CXOs will be there. So it's also a nice opportunity to network. So it's all about networking, networking, networking. Otherwise, standing on the stand and collecting business card and not closing the deals doesn't make sense. Trust me, after coming back to Pakistan, all the Saudi or international visitors will have multiple business cards in their pocket, and they will not be entertaining your emails or spam calls and all these things. So first, second, third, all 3 days are so important to capitalize the event. And inshallah, and all one more thing that 24 companies are going. I would suggest that we should meet one day before, discuss what are the products and services we all have. So let's do collaborative efforts. So if somebody is coming to my stand or Mr. Shahzad stands or Waqas Pitafi stand or Jamil stand, so we all should know if we are not doing anything ourselves, so we should float that lead to our other Pakistani companies. So objective is to bring all the business from Saudi within these 24 companies. So we as a team, as a collaborative, we need to brand ourselves, and that is Tech Destination Pakistan. So inshallah, every month, every quarter, this is just an start. After a long time, we are participating in a big group. So inshallah, we need to capitalize, and we are thankful to the LEAP management. They are processing so many things quickly in terms of the visas and all these things. So inshallah, Pakistan Embassy is very supportive, especially the Minister for Trade, Azhar Dar Saab and Ehtisham, all are working so hard to connect ourselves with the Pakistani diaspora also, and some of the people at the key position in Saudi Arabia. So we need to capitalize these 3 days. I'm sure once we come back, we can have more time to discuss ourselves what's going on, but we need to focus on IT buyers in Saudi Arabia, more networking, more relationship, and all these things. This is my few cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Zohaib, for the detailed background and your sharing your experiences. Jamil, would you like to add to that, because you've been participating in the international exhibitions as well?
Certainly. I think one most important thing that Zohaib iterated is to collaborate internally and know each other very well. Because most of the time what happens is that there are very collaborative and complementary services that we all are providing. And sometimes somebody is looking for something, and we can be able to easily facilitate that person by linking up to the rest of the organizations or people who are around, if we know each other very well. That's one of the most important things. Secondly, I think in terms of networking, yes, Zohaib emphasized a lot on closing the deals. But one more thing, I mean, a lot of times that this happens as well, that the deals are not, for certain businesses, it's a longer closure cycle. You can certainly be able to create a connection over there. But if you are not kind of a very hardcore product company and you're a services company, and depending on the kind of an offering you have, you may have a longer sales closure cycles as well. So do not get disheartened if you're not able to find a very concrete lead right there and then during the event. As he said, make relationships so solid enough that when you go back, at least you are able to have or drive few conversations again with the same people, because you already had invested that much time and effort in building up that relationship with them during the event. So this is very important, something that we have learned over time. At times, I mean, we do not just pin hope that, okay, we are going to this event and we'll bring back 5 deals. We just go with the mindset that we have to make relationship, we have to understand, we have to learn, we have to find possibilities, and then we have to build upon them over the period of time based on how our services segment works and the time it would take in order to close that segment. A lot of people I have been traveling with, they just get disheartened very quickly because they are not able to close a deal during the event, which is not that easy sell either, for services company especially. On the second side, I think networking, that's very important. Not only you should network, but try to lobby as well. That's very important. One thing that we as Pakistanis miss out is, oh, I'm going to meet that person. I just go and meet that person. That's it. That one connection may or may not be able to turn into something. But if I go and meet that person, if I come back, tell Shahzad to go and meet that person, if I come back, tell Zohaib to go and meet that person, if that person has some kind of a criticality and some kind of a significance, that's how you as a country and as an industry are lobbying with them. You're trying to register more about what Pakistan offers on the table in terms of the diversity that they are bringing to the event. That may or may not translate immediately into anything for any of us, but that would definitely translate into something for Pakistan going forward. And eventually we all will be able to benefit from that. So that's something that I wanted to highlight. One last thing, I think whenever we go, we also need to be very cognizant of what we are selling, of course, what is my supply side, and then what is the demand side. In order to understand the demand side, I also need to understand, as Shahzad highlighted, that selling a product is a very different game. I mean, just going there, talking about a product, coming back will not end up in a product sale. So you may have to have a partnership driven over there that can help you resell that product over there in that country or region or geography. So try to think critically about the demand side and how it will work over there in terms of logistics for you, so that at least you have some kind of a clarity when you are talking with somebody and you have some kind of a roadmap to let people know that you have a good sort of a homework done in whatever direction you want to take. And if you're confused, I mean, all the fellow Pakistanis are there. We are happy to help, happy to those who have already been able to establish, those who have been already doing business in this region. We are all happy to help you answer your questions or sort your challenges out.
Thank you very much, Jamil. Waqas, would you like to add to that, and maybe Shahzad, you as well, given based on your experience?
I think Zohaib ने और जमील ने already sales 101 जो होता है वो तो तकरीबन सारा का सारा हो गया, right? You know, because I think these are the crucial and fundamental like steps which are needed to make sure that you have an ROI, right? So I think networking kind of you need a bit of a guerrilla marketing, like, you know, sales approach when you are standing over there, right? So आप जब वहाँ पे खड़े हैं on a stall, like, you know, you need to have that approach where you are able to express yourself and actually काबू करना जो है ना, घेरो डालना जो है ना, वो बड़ा जरूरी होता है वहाँ पे. वो आपने कर लिया, उसके बाद में then like, you know, फिर ये सारी चीज है. तो पहली चीज lead generation है. Lead generation ये है कि people are there, like, you know, they are walking around. Some may be like, you know, open. They will come to you, approach you directly, but there will be few people who will not. Okay, and there may still be some business, and वो एक aspect है इसका. बाकी तो areas already cover किए हैं उन्होंने. अच्छा, इसके अलावा lobbying, I think, is a very important point. There should be kind of a unification. We should have a complete portfolio. अगर हम ये पहले एज ए पाशा भी हम ये काम कर सकें तो दैट वुड बी वेरी नाइस कि लोगों के पास में क्या स्किल सेट है, क्या
Just on that note, we have done that.
Okay, so अगर हम वो कर रहे हैं, so we can actually have that.
Just
like,
on that note, we have
पाकिस्तान
built
से
that.
आने वाली कंपनियां जो हैं, they are bringing in this skill set, this kind of product list, and this kind of things, like, you know, so everybody is aware. First of all, like, you know, when one person is like, you know, making a connection with somebody, so they should know, like, you know, what other offers Pakistani companies are providing. So I think this is very, very crucial as well. If we can collaborate on this aspect, this will help everybody and take the tech destination Pakistan brand and Pakistan as an IT brand, like, forward.
Thank you, Waqas. Shahzad, would you like to add to that before I ask you about opening up an office and how easy it is?
I think
Office in
there's
KSA
not much. There's not
preferably.
much. There's not much left to add after Zohaib, Jamil, and Waqas have already talked about it. So I think there's one element that also is key for any event to be successful, and that's key to actually for any activity to be successful is the pre-event activities. So Zohaib talked about the 24 companies from Pakistan have to know each other. Jamil also emphasized about that, so they can cross-sell, and refer each other, and possibly also develop some consortium which can work together and deliver some larger project. So this is one side to it. But the other very basic element to any event to be successful is to do some research on who is attending the event, both as participants and as a guest, and try to do the matchmaking ahead of going there. Try to reach out to people, try to set up meetings, try to find out who are the right partners or potential customers, and make sure that you have a pitch which is relevant to the customer. So something which you have done, for example, in some other country, but it does not make any relevance to somebody in Saudi, it's going to be a tough sell. So that's true for any international selling, but I just trying to emphasize about that. So pre-event matchmaking, setting up the appointments during the event has to be taken very, very seriously. So it's not those 3 days, but the 3-day success depends on 3 weeks success before the event. We've got hardly a week to go, but this 1 week has to be spent like you are in Riyadh spending $1,000 every day. This has to be taken right now, right away. And then whatever happens there is actually the result of what you have done ahead of reaching Riyadh. So this is just I wanted to sort of add to it. Second was, like I said, it's about localizing your use cases. So for example, for the product especially, you have to talk about impact, which is about the use cases. The use cases of the products have to be preferably be localized. So you should be talking as if you understand Saudi market, you understand the ecosystem there, the tech ecosystem there, rather than somebody saying, well, you don't have an office in Saudi, you don't have partners in Saudi, and you don't know about Saudi market, right? So basically makes the discussion less interesting for anybody, right? Because there are other vendors who may have done a better job, and they, at least from the top perspective, they can impress the person at the other side with their knowledge of the local ecosystem. I think Zohaib talked about meeting up a day earlier. You could also we should also sort of talk about somebody explaining how the tech ecosystem in Saudi is, what are the different sort of jargons that we have to know about, what are the cultural elements that we have to be very, very cognizant about. Just smaller things like, if you want to present something to somebody, always use the right hand, not the left hand. Sort of giving somebody a book, somebody a coffee cup or whatever, use the right hand, not the left hand, because at times, culturally speaking, they get offended when you use the left hand, for example, to sort of hand over something. So there are certain cultural aspects to it. There are certain technology system understanding to it. There's certain mapping of use cases relevant to Saudi market, which your product can potentially sort of serve, and the examples which are relevant to Saudi market. I think this is the pre-work, like we said, elevator pitch. So which is going to, I'm sure, have much more sort of impressive work than giving because nobody will have 20 minutes for you. So those 2-3 minutes of pitch will create that impact that can be long lasting, and just like in any other marketing activity, the follow through is going to seal the deal. It's not about, you just go there, impress somebody, and the guy is going to sign about $100,000 or $1 million contract. It doesn't really happen ever, unless you are got something that is very, very strange. In our industry, the sales life cycle is 6 months to 9 months, 6 months to 10 months. So this is what I'm talking about, the financial sector. They take much longer depending on the contract. So we have to have that patience, relevance, and we have to really cook the deal over, keep it warm, and close it, knowing all the constraints and opportunities in that part of the world. So this is just to add to how to perform better there. Yeah, Talha.
Thank you, Shahzad. Zohaib, I think you wanted to add something to that.
I just wanted to add, amazingly, what Shahzad Saab mentioned. I just want to add about the branding of each company as an exhibitor. Consider that your booth is a PowerPoint presentation. So you have to understand the visitor who will be passing your stand, they have 3 seconds. So in 3 seconds, you need to show something that stops them. So write information, write sales pitch through your backdrop design. It will, give an opportunity to the visitor who stops and talk about further about your products and services. Because I have an experience in JITEX Dubai, especially, that some companies, they feel that, okay, they will come and talk to me and then I'll present. So there is no need of backdrop or standees and all these things. So backdrop branding element is very important. So you have, like, as per my experience and learning, so if somebody is passing, you have 2 to 3 seconds to stop him through your backdrop. So it should be very precise, to the point, and you can still have 1 or 2 standee with you. Of course, this should not disturb your neighbor's stand. So it should be able to catch the visitor eye for further discussion. Because they always, what my experience in Saudi Arabia is, they always love to discuss in detail and have, discussion further about that. Because a lot of startups ecosystem is also in Saudi. So some people might come to you, have an idea. Maybe you will have some receive interesting customer. We want to build something like LinkedIn or Facebook. So be prepared for that. So these type of catchy things we need to, have more focus on about. So over to you, Talha.
Thank you, Zohaib. I think there's also been some discussion going on our YouTube chat. But before we go ahead and bring more questions from the chat and what we had prepared earlier,
I just want to add one more thing. Yeah, this I think is a key. Not so true for UAE or GCC, but Saudi. The first question is, do you have office in Saudi? Second question is, do you have a customer in Saudi? These are 2 questions which are, you have to come across this question with every customer. So be prepared about how to sort of convince the guy, the prospective customer. If you don't have office there, if you don't have a customer there, why you still are relevant, and how can you satisfy their sort of preference for a local guy. So this is why setting up an office or having a partner. By the way, what we have also done, just to give you an example, what we have also done is we have a concept of sending a person on secondment. So if I will have a person who will be placed, in your premises as dedicated person, a technical engineer for you for the year. You have a separate contract signed for the person. So this does satisfy without you having to have an office in Saudi. The second aspect is the first customer is the gateway to many more to be won. So the first customer at times have to be bought. Whatever you do, get the first customer, the first happy reference in Saudi is going to be very, very essential before you start dreaming about getting $1 million coming every year from Saudi markets. This is just to add to what I said earlier.
Great advice, Shahzad. Thank you. Before I bring in more questions, I just wanted to highlight that P SHA has also prepared a company's portfolio or catalog, if you will, which states the brief description of all the 24 companies and some of the startups which are participating from Ignite, and some of the companies which are participating independently. Their brief description, their areas of expertise, their website, logo, and everything. And that's going to be available in digital form as well as printed form. So we're going to disseminate them through Pakistan Embassy in Riyadh Chamber to some of the organizations in Saudi Arabia, and also with the companies participating from Pakistan. As we have been talking about the referrals, we even asked the companies if they want to give referral commissions to other participating companies. Some of them said yes, some of them even went as high as 25%. So there can be so much collaborative work and referrals amongst the participants as well. Before we go ahead, Shahzad, I wanted to ask you, because there is a question that how easy it is to set up an office in Saudi Arabia, and particularly if you're talking about NEOM, the tech city that you have mentioned. What is the process? How difficult or easy it could be?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have the ready answer with me for Saudi. If any of others have experience about that. I do know that one can have an office in Saudi with 100% ownership by the expat that's now allowed. But I don't have the ready answer to it. If there's some recent changes, yeah, Zohaib, you may go ahead.
Okay, so
yes,
I just want to tell that how mostly companies are doing. Firstly, initially, when you have any customer, maybe after exhibition, so mostly they do with the partnership agreement with the Saudi company. However, you will be using the CR. CR is the company registration certificate of the Saudi registered company. So mostly companies in the start doing things like that. So you have to have a very good trusted partner who can cater your local business, collect the money, transfer back to Pakistan, and manage the local thing. But other thing is the 100% ownership company is the department under the Ministry of Investment and Trade is called SAGIA. So 2-3 years back, to register a company 100% as a limited company, it was very tough. But these days is not very tough. They have some required documents as a branch office, as a 100% ownership company. So I think from Pakistan System Limited has recently registered a 100% ownership company under Sagia. Once we all exhibitor will be there, our embassy will be providing all the details and also supporting if somebody is interested to register 100% owned company. But as per my advice, maybe all not agreed on it. So my advice, if you are initiating and starting the business, you should have a local partner to do the transaction. Ideally, if you have a UAE based company, so it is also ideally to sign a contract if your customer is agreed to have in Saudi to agree to make a transaction between the Dubai and Saudi, so it's easy. But in Pakistan, some companies for small projects it's easy, but for mid or big size project you need a local or Middle East presence. So for that, Sagia or before that, you should have a local company. You will find a lot of partners during the event who are interested to represent you. Your agreement should be very loud and clear, but this does not make any partnership in Saudi. If you are partnering with any local company, that is not any, in my experience, not any legal standing that you are a stakeholder in that Saudi company or as a joint venture company. So Sagia is something, if you are ready, if you have multiple projects, maybe Jamil will share more details. He's already doing some projects over there in Saudi about when you able to register a 100% owned company. Maybe later they will have a free zone system like Dubai coming across, but local companies very important for that. Thank you.
So Jamil, would you like to add to that? Yes.
Yeah, just quickly, we have been actually doing business from an entity in UAE. over the last 11 years, and that had been almost like 90% workable. Only in 10% situations, some of the companies require a very local partner out there. And for that, we have partnered with somebody. We are also working on building up the presence. As Zohaib mentioned, Sagia was quite hard a few years ago, but now that they are working on building up their ease of doing business, I've heard that the regulations in Sagia are pretty equal to what you get in UAE now as well. So I think one request could be that Pasha can take up this research initiative to really dig out all these details, sort them out, and then share with the rest of the companies as well. Over to you, Talha.
Thank you, Jamil. So there's some questions on the YouTube chat as well. By the way, foremost, as WhatsApp calls cannot be made in KSA, but WhatsApp chats are possible. What is the medium of communication? Because we as Pakistanis have been using WhatsApp very frequently. What is the other communication
Google Duo
channel?
works very well over there.
Google Duo, yeah,
And
Google Duo.
And Zoom is also working over there.
Yeah.
Zoom does as well.
Yeah, but I think I think as an alternate to WhatsApp, I think Google Duo has a similar quick move and have a quick video or audio calls.
I mean, Zoom, Google Meet, these also work. Google Meet typically has been very good as far as quality of call is concerned, like, from UAE or from Saudi. But for that, you need to share a link first, and that might not be convenient for many use cases.
So one question is directed towards Shahzad. You mentioned that having a product to be able to offer to KSA market. How can a company that has staff augmentation as their forte to do better in KSA market? Any thoughts on that?
So basically, as Saudi is now really expanding and improving its digitization across, the talent is the key name of the game there. So I know companies actually have been earning a lot of money just by attaching resources, be in cybersecurity or other areas, and making a lot of money. So yeah, resource augmentation is certainly one key area which is falling not on the product but on the services that has an opportunity in Saudi, because they're really growing. I think Jamil must have direct experience of doing these things. Jamil, can you also give any sort of insight about that?
Can you just share the quick question with me? I was multitasking on some other thing as well simultaneously.
The question is about staff augmentation. So company in Pakistan which actually has got people who they can sort of attached.
Yes, I mean staff augmentation is very common in Saudi Arabia. Before it used to be face. I mean they used to work on face value. They wanted people on site most of the time, 100%. Now post COVID, I think there's a lot of opportunity for Pakistani companies to work in that direction as well. They are pretty open in terms of having a mix of on-site and off-site resources. But yes, staff augmentation is a pretty common practice in Saudi Arabia. And yeah.
And I have some customers right now working with us, for staff augmentation. The experience is very different, as you are concerned with other part of the world. Two possibilities are required. One is on-site, and then second is off-site, right? If you are doing a total off-site staff augmentation, then that's something, first of all, selling it is a problem. Challenge, not a problem, challenge, because if you're able to sell it after that, modalities are very simple, because you just need to have it as you will have for any client in rest of the world. On-site is the more challenging, part in this one, especially if you're not a registered company in Saudi. Because unlike UAE, where you can get visa and quickly send somebody across, in Saudi, the visa is more complicated. Business visa is required, and you need to have that. But as we have spoken about it, the ease of doing business is increasing since last 3 years. That's what I'm hearing. So you can actually open up a company or have a local partner. That is going to cost you, if you are having a local partner and he does nothing except giving you just facilitation for doing business and receiving payments, receiving everything, I think it will cost you easily 20-30% on top of the revenue that you will be getting just for facilitation. I mean, अगर मतलब $5,000 का ऑर्डर था तो 30% वो लेंगे सिर्फ आपसे facilitation का सिर्फ. Other than you will be paying the bill of material and everything like visa cost, ticket cost and everything else so this is typically how it goes as far as resource augmentation in Saudi market as per my experience.
So while we are speaking about resource augmentation, how have you found the quality of resources, human resources and talent in KSA?
So we have to understand, sorry, yeah, please go ahead.
No, go ahead, Shahzad.
So if you, I mean, when you go to Dubai, for example, you'll find that everybody's there. A lot of Indian companies, the big Indian companies, are there in Dubai. Same situation is there in Saudi. So a lot of projects are actually run by Accenture or Tata or Infosys. All of these companies. So there certainly is talent pool there. But I think the opportunity now is that instead of them attaching their, for example, level, the level 18, they are now, because of the sort of amount of work in the West and because of the COVID situation, they now basically are able to have limited capacity attached to, for example, Middle East and in some of the opportunity, which actually creates opportunity. So there is going to be competition. You will find a lot of, for example, Indian companies which actually are ready to give a price which is very competitive. At least we have come across, counter proposals or proposal from India, which actually is much lower than ours. So, you have to be very, very sort of, you have to be clear and ready and prepared that price war is real in any market, even if it is Saudi. So you have to understand the market, the customer, the pricing, and everything. And this is why I said the first customer has to be one. But you can get much better price in Saudi. You have to be patient. So Saudis are like us, right? Don't get into a very professional contract that has to be sort of, you can't really work with them like an American customer. That is a contract. The term says this. You have to work more like Pakistani customers. They'll pay better, but you have to work like a Pakistani customer. You have to stand with them. You have to sort of, work like with their trusted partners, give them some flexibility, and then you can win their hearts. Jamil.
Just to add to what Shahzad said, competition had always been there. For the last 11 years of us working in Saudi Arabia, we have seen Indian companies everywhere, Indian talent everywhere. However, of course, Saudis also realize that there needs to have a diversity over there as well. Number two, the quality of resources sometimes they had been getting from India. Of course, they're also cognizant of the fact that it wasn't that much better. And of course, India being such a big producer of talent and supplier have other focus geographies as well. So Saudi is not their kind of a primary geography out there. Hence, they are also looking for opportunities where they could be able to find some other vendors or geographies that can focus on their core areas as well. Hence, the opportunity begins to happen for Pakistan, especially as things are accelerating on the Saudi side as well. So they are basically pressed on time and kind of a talent to really compete against themselves, which actually puts in a good opportunity. However, being a Pakistani company, you need to realize two aspects. One, of course, they are better pay masters, they can pay better. However, their payment terms may be worse than even Pakistanis sometimes. Their payment cycles can linger on to not 1 month, 2 months, but 6 months as well. And you have to just wait patiently. So you need to have your own risk analysis done, to what extent you can work on credit, to what extent you could be able to, because the larger the client, sometimes the larger or the longer the pay cycles as well. Not all the time. Some clients are very regular, they just pay very regularly. But we have seen certain banks and certain government agencies taking very long cycles to really clear the bills. So you have to be cognizant of that fact. Secondly, the question was, how's the talent over there in Saudi Arabia? If the question is from the perspective that, is there a good local talent that exists in Saudi Arabia? There is talent being produced. New Saudi generation is learning from outside and coming back. Now they are getting better and better. They are getting into primary jobs as well. But the amount of job opportunities that exist, they are far bigger than the kind of a talent that exists on the ground. And for that, they need talent from areas like Pakistan or geographies like Pakistan. Now, if you give them a person off-site, that's much easier. But if you send somebody on site, then you need to not only think through meticulously about the contractual aspects with the organization over there, but also the contractual aspects with the talent being sent from Pakistan. Hamara masla ye hai कि a lot of times we are not so ethical enough to really comply by our code of conduct and comply by our agreements as well. And a lot of times we have seen that people going to Saudi Arabia on a certain contract, just moving from Saudi Arabia without even giving any kind of a notice sometimes as well. So then you need to really build up a whole understanding of the whole system, that if something happens like that, how are you going to safeguard your client and your investment that has gone into building up that opportunity for yourself. So there are risks involved. However, the opportunity is bigger than, of course, not trying and taking the risks. Talha, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Jamil. And there's some, thank you. So there are some interesting news coming from Dust Alumni, which are who are helping the Pakistan embassy in Saudi Arabia for this event and otherwise as well. So we were talking about Sagia, and they have told that Azimi Technologies is one of the companies, and systems are under Sagia, which will cost around 200,000. They haven't mentioned the currency, so I'm assuming it's $200,000 per year in license. And then there is an annual.
So it should be Saudi Riyal if the local ticket is Saudi Riyal.
Right, and then they have also mentioned that there have been some discussions with the Ministry of Investment in Saudi Arabia to offer 6,000 Sagia licenses issued to Pakistani companies. So they're saying that while we're going there and showcase Pakistani talent, we might have a better chance of getting them earlier or maybe more in number. Right. So as we are approaching towards the end of this webinar, Zohaib, would you like to share any closing remarks?
So my starting and closing remarks are same. Don't just exchange your business card, make friends. Saudis are more based on the trust, and you need to gain the trust. And the relationships I have with the Saudis for past 14 years, and inshallah, I will try my level best to connect all the participant companies with my network during the LEAP and see how we all can collaborate together and make last thing that please on social media and all the LinkedIn, you have noise as much as you can before the event, during the event, post event, because we need branding a lot. Pakistan Zindabad.
पार्टियां कहाँ कहाँ होगी ये तो बता दें.
I think we can take that conversation offline.
Offline.
So, Shahzad, would you like to share some closing comments?
Expand. Pakistanis need to expand. Look to foreign countries, learn their quality of service, their SLA, become globally competitive. Exporting does not only mean that you earn money, it also means that you actually you improve your capacity, you improve your quality, and you improve your technology and your services. This is key element. And why not GCC, which is very near to Pakistan, so it is easy to travel. Second aspect is, like I said, go prepared. The pre-work is going to help you come back with some opportunities. expecting miracles to happen in those 3 days is very, very, the chances are slim. I mean, that certainly happens, but the pre-work means go with the right collateral, go with the right examples, go with the right use cases, go with the right meeting appointments, with the right attitude, with the right cultural understanding, with the right economic understanding, with the right risk, and then collaborate with each other within Pakistan to exchange thoughts, exchange notes, exchange understanding, and try to make the most of, just like what Zohaib said, network, both within among the Pakistani companies, and when you get there with the contacts that we have in Saudi. All the best.
Thank you, Shahzad. Waqas, bringing the question towards you for the closing remarks.
I think it's already said. I was looking for actually answer to my question from Zohaib bhai. Where will be the party? But yes, networking is the most important thing. Cross-selling is the second important thing. Follow-up is the paramount, behind all of what you have been doing. It will not be possible for you to do miracle in the event alone. You will need to have a very good back office sales team so that they can help you follow up, 6th or 7th touch point, when somebody gets closed. Maybe in Gulf you have to do much bigger, much larger set of follow-ups, before you are able to close the deals. So that's what it is from my side. Thank you so much for having me.
Jamil.
I would just like to extend my best wishes to all the contingent members. Really hoping that this event really pans out for Pakistan, for all of us. The targets that we have as a nation, as an organization, as an individual, we are able to meet all of those. I think all my other fellow members have already highlighted what are the main salient points. Lastly, just remember that you are there for business, but you are also the ambassador for Pakistan. So whatever you do, do it right, and do it right in a way where Pakistan is recognized as well.
Yep.
Thank you very much, everyone. This has been a very interesting and insightful discussion. We were pleased to have you on board, and we wish all of you best of luck for the upcoming event. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Talha.
Thank you, Talha.
Thank you, Talha.
Doing that in a minute.